Before we get into some reflections on Good Friday, I do want to just mention, we hope you'll join us Easter morning. I will be back out on the dock at 7 a.m. Offering a bit of a sunrise service. Could be a great blessing to some of you. But even if you come to that, come back at 9:30 for contemporary or 11 for traditional. We'd love to share the whole service, and I'd love to share the whole message with you. Now, putting that behind us, let's focus on truly the enormity and even the sadness of this day. We find these words in Luke 23, 44 to 48. It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour, while the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, "Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit." And having said that, he breathed his last breath. Now when the centurion saw what had taken place, he praised God and said, "Certainly this man was innocent." And all the multitudes, and really hear these words today, and all the multitudes who assembled to see the sight, when they saw what had taken place, they returned home beating their breasts. In other words, they returned home with great anguish in their hearts. On this day, on this Good Friday, as we pause and think about Jesus' death on the cross, I encourage you to lean into one thing. Really lean into your sadness. Really lean into your grief. Oftentimes, I'm afraid we tell each other in this life, don't be sad, put on a good face. When in reality, it's often the grief itself that truly leads us to where we need to be. I remember back to my father's funeral, moving through that day prior to the service, feeling pretty good, again, putting on a happy face. And then there came that moment when the sadness really was just overwhelming. Some of you have been there, I know. But then and only then could I begin to actually embrace the gift that my father was to me. Guys, reflect on the cross enough this day, this Good Friday, so that sadness might be in your heart. He had to die for us, for you and me. Because only when we truly allow the sadness in, only then will we find ourselves where we need to be, praying, "God, forgive me for my sins," praying, "God, help me embrace the sadness of what I've done. God, help me embrace the sadness of this day." Because only when we can pray that way, only then will we be able to, in a few days, embrace the gift of Easter, the gift of new life. Remember these words in verse 48 from our passage when it says, "Those who followed him, now that he was gone, they returned home beating their breasts." Guys, this day, tomorrow, may we humble ourselves enough to truly embrace sadness, confession, knowing that that is where we need to be on this Good Friday. Let's pray. God, thanks for your incredible sacrifice. Lead us to grieve this day and next for our part in this, that we might fully embrace then what is to come. Amen. God be with you today and tomorrow.